This is 3 Talk. Please welcome Terry Winchester from the Winchester Foundation. He's a hypnotherapist who deals with eating disorders. Terry, welcome to the show. So what do you do in trying to help people with eating disorders?
Okay, what we do, Nolene, is focus on getting into the subconscious mind to deal with that negative pattern. It's a misperception. Now, as soon as you fight that pattern, which has been developed through the various means that we've been talking about here, once you've got that negative pattern, if you try and fight it, like Chubby was saying, if you try to attack it, it gets worse. Like with dieting, the more you try not to do something, the more you're going to do it. Because there's a law of the mind that says whenever the will and the subconscious are in conflict, the subconscious always wins. So no matter how hard we fight the problem, it's going to get bigger if we use willpower. So we need to get into the relaxed alpha state, we call it, and that's where hypnosis comes in. I don't really like that word hypnosis because there's so many misperceptions. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So if you can help the sufferer get into the alpha state and look at that negative pattern and just turn it around, use that control. You need that power. As Chubby was saying, you get satisfaction out of binging and purging. If you, well, it's the purging that gives you the satisfaction, gives you that control, but that's not it's not going to work. You need that feeling of control which comes from knowing that you are the master of your own thoughts. And if you don't like these patterns that have been developed, then change them.
What's the success rate?
Well, everybody can get into this relaxed state and everybody can change their mind. It's just a matter of identifying that faulty pattern, telling the subconscious mind, see this? I don't want it anymore, and
you
turn
make it sound very easy. Let's go to the lines. Anonymous in Johannesburg. Hello.
Hi there, Nolene. Thank you for your show. It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
So I live on laxatives.
What do you mean you live on laxatives?
I literally live on laxatives.
Every day?
If I eat anything, I will take a laxative. Laxatives to get it out. Depending on how much I eat, that depends on how much laxatives I take. But I also do gym every single day. Now, how does this, you mentioned heart disease, heart attack, how does that all fit in?
Yes,
Chris, yes.
It's quite straightforward. Any kind of purging behavior causes the body to lose potassium. It's one of the electrolytes. And potassium is intimately involved in the rhythm of the heart, so it may cause arrhythmias by being too low, the potassium level. And when you start to exercise, you're putting a lot of stress and a lot of strain on the cardiovascular system. So you're putting a lot of stress and strain on a system that is not operating as it should. We had a very, there was a young tennis player some years ago. She was a really top tennis player, but she was actively bulimic. She died on the court precisely because of that. So it's a well-recognized complication, and you really put yourself at risk when you exercise in conjunction with engaging in active purging behavior.
Isn't it worrying what Anonymous is saying? Because she's quite confident in the fact that she's only worried about the fact that she may get a heart attack. But she's not worried about the fact that every day she's using laxatives. That worries me.
Well, you see, what is of concern is that each day that particular caller is putting herself at risk of death. It's as simple as that.
The role of family and friends to a bulimic, what should there be?
So the families do need to be involved, specifically where you have a younger member of the family who has a problem. Specifically because these problems, the sufferers are often highly manipulative. And one parent is simply no match for an eating disorder. You need two parents who are working together.
Were you manipulative,
Very. It's very deceptive. I mean, the whole thing is a secret life. So it would take 400 Rand, go and buy 3 bags of chocolates and crisps and all that. It would, have dinner with the family, really be, quite good, and then go and just binge and binge and binge and throw up. So, and put the taps on. Why do you put the taps on? Because you
don't want anybody to know.
Correct, absolutely. And when, there was smell, people said, there's a funny smell in this bathroom. Okay,
You don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
Terry, what would you say is the role of family and friends towards an eating bulimic?
Well, it's really important that the family doesn't put pressure on the child. Don't forget, this child that's suffering has a fear. And they are doing their best to cope with that fear. And they're getting a sense of control by, the purging. And now, when the parents put pressure on and say, don't do that, or you must eat, this is dangerous, that child's going to be reactive, is going to rebel and it's going to make it even worse, because now the child starts to feel guilt as well. So I think the parents must, well, understand that there's a problem and help that child to get to know themselves. And that's what we do in the hypnotherapy. It's not just the turning around of the negative patterns. It's a holistic approach. There's mind, body, spirit. Now, our spirit is perfect. And we have our problems, we have our fears because we've lost touch with that. So whatever our problem is, if we can pause, step back, and get to know that inner self, and if the parents can encourage their children to, the sufferers, to actually find that inner place and know that they're okay, and not put that pressure on to try and stop the symptom, because that aggravates it. That causes confusion, that causes rebellion, that causes more fear, more anger.
Okay, let's go to the lines. Let's go to Patty in Johannesburg. Hello, Patty.
Hello, Nolene.
Hi.
I would like to ask a question. What are the actual long-term effects of being bulimic? Because I'll tell you why. I've been one since high school, and I'm now 33. And mine was very severe because apparently I was in a cult, and we as a family did not know this. And when we got out, it was the second time that I landed in hospital. They drove us nearly to suicide. And my weight has dropped drastically. In fact, at the moment, it could be about 37, 38 kilograms. And basically, if you have to look at me now, people, everywhere they look, they say, you know what, you look just like Patricia Lewis. You're so pretty. You've got long blonde hair down to your bum, and you're so tiny. And, you know, my skin is still lovely. I don't have a single wrinkle. I've got no blemishes. But I can tell you the emotional side that this bulimia has caused, it's the most horrible thing. Because there were days where I couldn't even hold down half a glass of water. Not even half a biscuit could I keep in my stomach. And I experienced this because I found out with counseling during the years that with cults, they don't have love and they abuse people.
So, Patty, you were in an occult?
Yes.
And when did you leave the occult?
It must have been about 8 years ago when,
Okay.
sorry, it was about 6 years ago, but we had to get a court order to have them stop abusing our family.
Okay. Now, your question to the professor exactly is?
What are the long-term effects of this bulimia?
All right. Thank you very much, Patty, because we are running out of time. We've got your question. What are the long-term effects?
Well, I think one can divide them into physical and psychological. And I think from a psychological point of view, obviously it impacts upon your mood. At a physical level, she sounds like she's quite significantly underweight. So one of the biggest complications I'd be looking for in her is probably osteoporosis. You get thinning of the bone, which is irreversible once you go beyond a certain point. And, you know, that has huge consequences later on. So, you know, one has to be very aware that this is not a frivolous behavior. There are some serious problems that arise.
Terry, your process in getting people better, is it an easy process? Is it just going for hypnotherapy and you're done? You're fine?
Yes, well, there's hypnotherapy and there's hypnotherapy. It depends what the hypnotherapist is doing. But I do believe it's easy. It is easy. You see, if we say it's hard, it's because we're fighting ourselves. One part of the brain, the left brain fighting the right brain. If you can get into that relaxed state and you can just find that inner strength, that inner peace, and you can just pause and look at your life and turn around those misperceptions, because all of our problems are due to misperceptions. That's a fact. And we have the power to relax, to go in there into the subconscious and say, okay, what haven't I grown out of? What are these childhood traumas that I'm still carrying?
So the bottom line is that it is easy.